Hello, Internet, and welcome back to the Story Nook. Today we are going to be reading more of Chapter 2 of Villainess Level 99. I may be the hidden boss, but I'm not the Demon Lord. Written by Satori Tanabata and illustrated by T. It's been a while since I actually read this because brakes in my car needed to get fixed, and I am a broke girly. Please, if any of y'all love me, like, do y'all like books? Well, you obviously like books. I've written a couple of books. Most of them that are published are only $1. They're like 99 cents, ebook-wise. You can find those in my link tree. You can also find, like, my Patreon, my Ko-fi, my Redbubble. All that's in my link tree, which should be in the description of all these videos. Whether you're seeing them with the speed paints or on the Story Nook channel, which is just where you can read along with me. And I have been getting more comments on the Story Nook channel, so thank you, people. I saw an adorable person who commented about leaving comments for the algorithm, so thank you, my dude. You're awesome. It was adorable. And I greatly appreciate it. But we're going to be continuing. I believe we last left off at these 3 dots. I cannot quite remember because it's been so long. But after this, I'm going to pop in. I've got all my ebooks loading into one of my Google Drives so that I can do it during my live stream. And this video will probably go up while I'm setting up that live stream. So if you want to come to my main channel, Chrissy Duffy, and see some of these recorded live, feel free. I'll probably also be playing video games and such as I raise money for my car brakes, because that was a lot of money. So go ahead, grab your tea, your coffee, your juice, your energy drink, your water, lemonade, your alcohol if you want, because I'm probably going to get liquor in a bit, because my life is sad and I would like to not feel the emotions. Currently, I have a Gatorade bottle full of water and some cucumber slices. So I've got cucumber water. The following day after school, I headed to the academy drawing room after being told that the headmaster wanted to see me. I wonder what the old man wants with me. But when I reached the drawing room, the person waiting for me wasn't the elderly headmaster I had been expecting. Hello, Eumelia. I'm Ronald, the new headmaster. Hello, I'm Eumelia Dolkness. But, what happened to the previous headmaster? My glasses are dirty as shit. Excuse me while I clean off my glasses. Because I was just like, why does everything look slightly fuzzy? He left the position for certain reasons. You probably won't be crossing paths with him ever again, so it's nothing you should be concerned about, he said with a smile. Ronald was completely different from his predecessor. He was young, probably not even 30 years old, and his smile felt fake, as if he was replicating a textbook example of a reassuring smile. I've come to the academy under His Majesty's orders. I'm also aware of the current topic of gossip, the Demon Lord, so you don't have to worry about that. He was probably the person the Queen was referring to during our conversation. The fact that he knew about the Demon Lord must have also meant that the King's faith in him was strong. Though I found him pretty suspicious. His Highness is quite the troublemaker, he remarked. I never would have thought he'd spilled the kingdom's classified information in public. It must have been rough for you, too. Prince Edwin had declared that the Demon Lord would be resurrected in 2 years. On top of that, Alicia had accused me of being said Demon Lord, and this incident had already spread to every student at the academy. I grimaced, remembering that almost every student at the academy was currently avoiding me. But Ronald didn't seem to notice. His Highness isn't usually so shallow-minded, but recently he's been quite troubled. Or should I say unstable? Even his two friends, who are usually there to support him, are similarly distressed that something happened to them. There must have been something that happened recently, excuse me, hiccup, to make them unstable. But it was more than likely just me. You're really going to ask that? He laughed. Well, let me give you a little context. His Highness and his two friends have never experienced any setbacks. They were all exceptional from a young age and always outperformed their peers. The egos were quite large as well, but while they were winning, it never harmed them. But then someone appeared and crushed that pride of theirs. They probably didn't want to believe that could happen, at least enough to try and keep their sanity intact by allowing themselves to believe that person to be the Demon Lord. I guess it was my fault, after all. Due to my actions, the current situation was quite different from the game's story. I never thought that things would go according to the game story, but the fact that things had gone so differently from the beginning up to this point might have had a large effect. I understand their situation, but is there anything that can be done about the other students being scared of me? I asked. Unfortunately, it's nearly impossible to get rid of a rumor that has already spread. The official position of the kingdom will be to deny allegations of the Demon Lord's resurrection, but many will still believe it's true. It would be wise to understand that you're in a similar boat, especially since the rumors about you aren't totally unbelievable, given your strength. There are even those in the palace who think you are dangerous and have misgivings about you. I get it. From the outside, I'm just a level 99 rando who appeared out of nowhere. I believe there are only a handful of people who aren't afraid of you. Even I'm a little scared. Contrary to his words, Headmaster Ronald showed no signs of fear. Rest assured, His Majesty knows it's impossible for you to be the Demon Lord. I would have understood if the king thought the Demon Lord had been resurrected 2 years early, but it seems I was never suspected in the first place. I wonder if he had some undeniable proof that I'm not the Demon Lord. I cautiously observed every movement the headmaster made, no matter how small, in an attempt to figure out his thoughts. It's useless. I can't tell what he's thinking at all. Does the royal family have details regarding the Demon Lord? I asked. No comment, he responded, his smile widening. Isn't that basically telling me yes? Headmaster Ronald knew about Prince Edwin's childhood, what the king was thinking, and information that only prominent figures of the kingdom would be privy to. As young as he was, he most likely held a very important position. So I was also curious about why he hadn't shared his family name when he introduced himself. He seemed to know exactly what I was thinking. I'm just the headmaster, he said frankly. I'm also the liaison to you and His Majesty. If you ever want to ask His Highness anything, His Majesty anything, just let me know. Depending on the topic, I might be able to give you the answer right away. The fact that he could potentially answer immediately probably meant that the king allowed him discretionary power. He was definitely someone of high standing. I see. You're not just all brawn, are you? I can see why Her Majesty is fond of you. It also makes my job easier. Ronald's eyes were wide as he spoke, appearing to be genuinely enjoying himself. Darn, he read my thoughts again. But I could have sworn I didn't say anything that could give away my thoughts or change my expression in any way. It felt like Ronald could be the one to figure out the secret of my past life. I didn't like him. Well then, let's jump into what happens now, he said excitedly. Today was more about introducing myself, but I wanted to add a little extra. I would like you to help run the outdoor training that will be starting soon. The outdoor training was basically just level grinding, where the academy had students hunt monsters safely. My thoughts went to the prospect of helping the prince and his friends, aka the Demon Lord Suppression Squad, with their level grinding. Understood. I will be supporting His Highness and the others then? No, we're planning on having you join a different group. I thought that was strange, given that we would eventually have to fight the Demon Lord together. But then Ronald threw a question back at me. Let me put it this way. Would you be able to cooperate with them in battle? I see. Even if I tried to help them, they wouldn't accept it right now. It's definitely a problem we'll have to solve at some point, Ronald clarified. But we won't be able to do anything about it right away. If things continued like this, we probably wouldn't be able to take down the Demon Lord together. When the opportunity arose, I would eventually have to convince them that I'm on their side. Understood. Though, I do think there will be some fighting over the groupings. On one side was the popular prince, on the other side was me, the one regarded as the Demon Lord. It was clear which side students would want to be on. We're planning on grouping students as we have done in the past, by splitting them up into central aristocrats and provincial aristocrats. You'll be in the provincial group. That seems like quite a haphazard way to group the students, I remarked. There's a proper reason for it, Ronald explained. You see, there's a big difference in motivation toward level grinding between central and provincial aristocrats. Once Ronald brought up that incentivized difference, his intentions became clear. It was likely that only a handful of central aristocrats would be proactive about level grinding, since most of them would take over their households or obtain a government position after graduating from the academy. In other words, there was no benefit to them reaching a high level. In contrast, for provincial aristocrats, particularly those with small domains, it wasn't uncommon for the heads of domains to handle monsters themselves. And second-born sons or younger would often become soldiers. Naturally, even central aristocrats needed to be at a decent level if they wanted to become a military officer or join the Knight's Order. But as far as I knew, they weren't as desperate as provincial aristocrats. Will His Highness and the others be alright in such an unmotivated group? We have a personalized plan just for them, so they'll be prepared in 2 years. We'll have them at level 40 by then, at the very least. Hearing that they would be at level 40 to fight the Demon Lord made me nervous. In the game, the appropriate level was around 60 or 70. Level 40, it would be better if they could be at least level 60. Commander Aldolphine, with all his experience is level 60. Getting them to that point in 2 years is unreasonable. Huh. I guess if you put it that way, they'd be working extremely hard just to reach level 40. I nodded. I understand. So what exactly should I be doing? The training will be held in the forest just outside the royal capital. So there shouldn't be any issues, but I'd like for you to handle any emergencies with the lead instructor. The forest outside the royal capital, that's probably the first stage in the game. I'm pretty sure all the monsters there are weak, so I doubt there will be anything for me to do. So, should I just stand there and watch over the battle? You could say that. I heard that you have some fairly strange methods for level grinding, so try not to do anything too weird. Huh. What does he mean by strange methods? I guess not using an amulet of protection and battling solo could be considered a little strange, but it's normal to loudly play a monster summoning flute, right? No, it is not. 'Tis not normal at all, my darling. But you're adorable, so we accept you anyway. And all you're crazy. The day of outdoor training had arrived, and I joined the provincial aristocrats as Ronald and I had discussed. Everyone kept their space from me out of fear, so I stood alone and watched the training from a distance. I remember getting to this episode. It was hilarious. I have watched the anime. I don't think I've watched the whole anime, but I watched a good bit of it. There were around 20 students participating in the training, but only 3 wolf-type monsters appeared. On top of that, there was no tension from being in a forest because we had set up shop in an open field with a cliff and a great view. There were several students swinging at and landing multiple spells on a single monster. It felt like it was slightly overkill. I'm so bored that I might yawn, I thought aloud. Me too. This is definitely not efficient, a voice responded. Someone was listening. I turned in the direction of the voice to find a gray-haired boy watching the battle take place with disinterest. The same boy who saw the cat run away from me. This is our first conversation since then. I remembered his name from the entrance ceremony after my embarrassing encounter with said cat. It was Patrick Ashbatten. His father was a Margrave, and just like William, he had reached level 10 before entering the academy. Relative to other students, he probably had more experience fighting monsters. I think there could be more monsters, I said, opting to act as if the incident with the cat hadn't occurred. I agree. If they split up into a vanguard and rear guard and worked together, I think they could handle a few more. He spoke normally, surprising me. A student willing to talk to me in general was a rare occurrence. I was slightly pleased to be talking to someone my age for the first time in a while. Do you split up into vanguards and rear guards when leveling up at the Ashbutton mark? Yep, the vanguard will hold down monsters while the rear guard attacks. That's our standard formation. I tilted my head in confusion. Experience points are distributed based on damage done. Wouldn't that cause everyone's level to increase unevenly? I voiced my confusion. Wouldn't the vanguard have trouble leveling up? We also switch it up and have rear guard hold down the monster with magic while the vanguard attacks, though it's less stable like that. I see. I've only explored efficient solo leveling grinding, but things were different when done in a group. Would we be able to do that with the people here, I asked. I looked around, taking count of the students, and found that there were roughly half who could be in the vanguard and half who could be in the rear guard. With everyone being aristocrats, there was potentially those in the vanguard who could use magic, making up for a good balance of teams. I think we could do it, but it wouldn't matter since there are barely any monsters, Patrick responded, confused. If lack of monsters is our only problem, then I have something that can solve it, I said, pulling out a monster summoning flute out of my pocket. The headmaster told me to just watch over trading, but it's probably fine for me to help out a little, right? Oh, this is gonna be chaos. For some reason, Patrick had gone pale and began fumbling over his words. Hold on, is that a monster summoning flute? Do not play that. But I didn't hear the rest, as I had already taken a large breath and started playing. The teacher was the first to notice the sound of the flute and attempted to jump in front of the students to protect them, but I stopped the instructor before they could. Even with the flute, this level of training is too tame. Besides, Patrick offered to take command, I said, pointing to Patrick. Upon being named, he hurried over to split the other students and immediately began instructing them. Split up into a vanguard and rear guard. If you're in vanguard, focus only on keeping the monsters in place. If you get hurt, immediately fall back and get healed with a potion. Those in rear guard with more mana use area attacks. The vanguard will hold down any other monsters and the rest of the rear guard will attack. As I stood there, impressed with Patrick's clear instructions, the bushes in front of us began to rustle. A herd of monsters was coming. As expected, everyone was able to survive the wave of monsters without any injuries. With Patrick commanding them, the students were able to coordinate with no unnecessary actions. Having no knowledge on group battles, I was continuously impressed throughout the fight. The students eagerly appeared to be completely wiped out from the battle, with some even sitting down, looking like they had run out of mana. Hey, Emilia, why did you go and do that out of nowhere? Patrick exclaimed angrily, making his way towards me. Despite being in the vanguard and holding down more monsters than anyone else, he was still full of energy. What was he so upset about? Oh, right, he was in the vanguard. Maybe he's unhappy because he couldn't raise his own level. Don't worry, I'm sure there are students who ran out of mana, so I'll keep the monsters at bay. I smiled. Patrick stared at me quizzically, seeming confused at my reassurance that I would help the vanguard level grind. You really don't have to worry so much. I played the monster summoning flute loudly for a second time. Everyone turned to stare at me skeptically, so I explained my actions properly. I will stop the monsters in their tracks so the vanguard can take their time finishing them off. The forest rustled, everyone's faces twitched. It's the second time. They should be used to it by now. The monsters will be making contact soon. As soon as the words left my lips, droves of monsters appeared, far more than the previous round. The moment the monsters prepared to spring forward, their shadows began to make eerie movements, undulating as they spread throughout the myriad of black arms shot out. Oh, the black arms took hold of every monster, completely shutting down their movement. The monsters thrashed in an attempt to break free, but the spell I used, Dark Bind, didn't budge. And we have artwork on this page. Look at it. Look at the very pretty artwork. We have Eumelia, Patrick, and Wolf Monster. Look at how pretty the picture is. Let me move my mouse out the way so you guys can actually see it. Ah, water. Water is always needed. We're going to turn on our automatic zoom again. Alright, we have a lot more pages to go through. Go ahead and attack, I encouraged the students in the vanguard, but no one moved. Isn't it obvious that monsters can't move because they're being held by the shadows? Those arms. It's my magic. The spell is Dark Bind. I like it because it's not very deadly. They won't attack us, don't worry. The monsters are completely immobilized, I confirmed. No, not the monsters, huh? There's nothing else that could attack them besides the monsters here. As I tilted my head in confusion, Patrick slowly walked up to a monster and attacked, and then turned back to the students. See, there's no problem. The shadow arms are safe. Once Patrick spoke, the students who were in the vanguard began to swing at the monsters. Oh, I see. They were afraid of my magic. Is it that scary? I couldn't quite understand their point of view because I had grown up playing rock, paper, scissors with Dark Bind to kill time. Once the monsters had... That is a weird, silly image of her just playing rock, paper, scissors. I don't know if that was shown in the anime or not, because it's been so long since I've watched it. Once the monsters had mostly been taken care of and the scent of blood had spread across the open field, the monster carcasses would soon disappear, leaving behind only magic stones. I'm pretty used to it, but I think it might be kind of hard to watch 4 aristocrats. I guess the magic stones will be divided up on first-come, first-served basis then. Surprisingly, every student immediately began collecting the magic stones. Even female students were cautiously walking up to the monsters' carcasses to pick up the stones. I guess provincial aristocrats are pretty tough. I bet centralists wouldn't be able to do the same. Once everyone's hustle for extra money had ended, Patrick came over to me. Eumelia, the next time you're going to play the monster summoning flute, can you at least let me know beforehand? He seemed completely exhausted as he spoke. Good work, Patrick. I commended him in response. Your command was incredible. Well, I guess you didn't mean any harm, he said, sighing. Harm? Did I do anything bad? What do you mean? My question only seemed to exhaust him even more. Just then, the bushes behind us made a sound, and as I turned around, a monster was in the midst of lunging towards me. Patrick is close by, so I'll have to attack in a way that doesn't hurt him. As I considered my next move, Patrick suddenly leaped in front of me, and my mind went blank at the unexpected situation. Why is he in front of me? By the time I shook off my confusion and realized I needed to protect him, the monster had bitten Patrick's arm. Black hole, I panicked and accidentally cast my strongest spell, obliterating the monster, saving only its head. All the trees within a roughly 10-meter radius had disappeared, leaving the ground spiritually carved out. I looked as if my main objective was to destroy the forest, and that I just decided to include the monster's body as an afterthought. I succeeded in not harming Patrick, but I had focused too hard on that and miscalculated the strength of the spell. Get a potion, Patrick groaned as he had removed the monster's head from his arm and was now moaning in pain. It's okay, I can use recovery magic as well. Heal. Currently, heal was known as a light magic spell, but the same spell existed in dark magic as well. In the game, there were bosses who had minions that could use recovery magic despite being monsters. Yumilia, the character, didn't use recovery magic, but I was able to use it with no problems. The hidden boss being able to use recovery magic sounded like a recipe for disaster, but I couldn't help the fact that I was able to use it. The only issue with the spell was that it looked absolutely horrible. Light magic heal would envelop the injury and light and cure it, while dark magic heal would cause flesh to regenerate in lumps out of the injury. The injury down the drain. Okay. No, it's still recording. Alright. So, I don't know, my computer did a weird buggy thing. And, turned off, and I had to press the power button again, and I was not prepared for that shit. This scared the fuck out of me. Where was I? We were talking about heal magic. Generally, heal was a light spell. Lumps out of the injury. The injury would heal with no scars, but the process was extremely grotesque. Ugh, Patrick groaned, appalled at the sight in front of him. I'm sorry, I promise it only looks bad now. I think it should be all right now, I said when I finished. But are you in any pain? No, I'm all good now. Thank you. I was worried that there would be side effects after using the spell on someone who wasn't a dark type, so I was relieved by his response. Why did you jump out in front of me? Sorry, I just thought it would be dangerous, he mumbled. Dangerous? For the monster? No, he probably means me. Why was he worried about me? Dangerous? For me? I asked, confused. You need to take better care of yourself, he yelled suddenly. You don't have an amulet of protection, right? You need to be more careful before it's too late. He apparently protected me because he was actually worried about me. This was the first time something like this had ever happened, which made me slightly flustered. Thank you. I know you saved me and all, but wasn't this a bit much, he continued, pointing out the carved-out forest. I apologize, I miscalculated my strength. It's a common occurrence while level grinding. This? A common occurrence, Yumilia? You really need some more common sense. I've gotten rid of an entire mountain before. I think in comparison to that, I've gotten pretty good at holding back. Patrick's lecture on my lack of common sense continued, growing even more heated. He's right. Destroying the environment is a bad thing. Perhaps he's someone who really loves nature? And so we will end on this page at this section for this video, because I am afraid of my computer just being weird. Granted, this is a laptop where, multiple keys don't even work on this laptop. This laptop that I record on, the A button doesn't work most of the time. Every once in a while it'll work, but most of the time it doesn't. 5, 6, I think the number 7 doesn't work on it. There's a lot of keys on here that just don't work. But with that, thank you all for being here for Villainess Level 99. Part 3 of Chapter 2, because it is taking me a while. This is a very long chapter, by the way. I counted the pages. There's 13 pages left from the one photo image we saw. Why is my brother